What's going on, everybody? Thank y'all so much for tuning in to the very first episode of Rich Off Passion. This podcast has been a long time coming. A lot of people over the past few years have been requesting me to put out longer form content. A lot of people have requested a podcast. They have requested videos in color. So here we are. Thank y'all again for tuning in. Basically, this episode, I just wanted to go over a little bit about my background as well as what you guys can expect from this particular podcast. I know there's a lot out there, but you know me, I'm going to do something a little different. So a little bit about me. For those that may not know, I was born and raised in Detroit, Michigan. I currently reside in the northwest suburbs of Chicago. Been out here for going on 8 years. I have a BS and MBA in marketing. I actually have a passion for music. My passion started out when I was about 8 years old. I started playing the piano from 8 all the way up until college. I studied music business as a kid. I loved the Diddy era. That was my era. I loved the lifestyle. I loved everything about it. So instead of being an artist, which I was back then, I said, you know what, let me just learn the business because I felt more comfortable knowing and learning the business. And also that's where all the money was at, right? Right. So I started college as a music major. Shout out to Wayne State University back home in Detroit. I didn't fall in love with the music program. And that was because I wanted to learn more about the business. The music programs back then were all about ear training, classical music, music theory, which not saying, it's not like it's not helpful. I did learn a lot. And some of the stuff that I learned then, I still utilize today when I work with artists. But I really wanted to focus on the business. So I said, you know what, let me just go into business school, learn the business. I majored in marketing, and then I'll apply that to the music business later on in life. So here we are. So, like I said, music wasn't always stable back then. We saw that with how artists came and went. I switched to the marketing program and as my plan B, which I'm glad I did, and I'm sure I'll get into that in other episodes going forward. So, I started the BASSLINE Group. The BASSLINE Group is an entertainment company that offers marketing, management, and label services to independent artists. I always say that I like to get artists from point A to G. So I kind of tend to focus on like artist development. So since then, I started the BASSLINE Group 6 years ago, and I've worked with over 50 independent artists within that time span. My biggest client, though, was Matthew Knowles. You guys may know him as Beyonce's dad, the owner of Music World Entertainment, that's responsible for us knowing who Destiny Child was or is. Solange, he's responsible for a lot of people's careers that a lot of people aren't aware of. But I worked with him for 2.5 years. Me and my graphic team designed his book, Racism from the Eyes of the Child. I pretty much launched his social media presence. Anytime he went viral over the last few years, that was me. So that working with him and just getting his online platform together as well as the artists that he was working with at the time it was a fun project. And I still say to this day, out of everybody I've worked with on the music side as well as the small business side, Mr. Knowles has been the best client I've ever had. The best client. I have absolutely nothing bad to say about that man. That, like I said, he was my biggest client. Right now, I currently manage a Christian or faith-based hip-hop artist. He goes by Ken the Messenger. Definitely check him out. And now I'm here. Here we are. So I chose to start this podcast simply because, simply because I grew tired of relying on artists for success. Being a manager and working with artists, I always tell folks I can lead, or that famous saying, I can lead a horse to water, but I can't make them drink it. I've experienced that a lot in my career in music. Just working with independent artists, I can advise them all day long. But if they don't implement, where does that leave me? Where does that leave my track record? So when, so like I said, I just grew tired of relying on artists and other people for my success. So I said, hey, it's time for me to bet on myself. Not only that, like I said earlier, a lot of people have been looking for more content from me outside of what I've been putting on my Instagram and blogs and whatnot. So, I have a lot of knowledge, a lot of experience just to share. So, so here we are. I discovered the market was missing the journey, even though, like I said, there's a lot of podcasts out there. One thing I noticed is that the podcast world is missing the journey, even entertainment. We see people go from A to Z, but we don't see anything in between. We see them from going from being broke to rich, but how did they get there? What was that journey like? So that's one of the things that I really wanted to focus on with this podcast. There's a lot of things that goes on between being poor or unsuccessful to being successful, or just like I said, just going from the start to the finish or the start to success. There's like a lot of stuff going on in between. So I really wanted to put out content that highlighted that. I also think it would be very helpful too for a lot of independent artists or just people in general who's looking to either start a small business or becoming an entrepreneur to see what that journey is like. Because a lot of people get into it and thinking that they're going to be millionaires overnight, and that's incorrect. I also see a lot of people thinking that it's not hard and that it's super easy and there's an overnight success, and we all know that's not true. So like I said, one of the things I wanted to do with this podcast is to highlight what it took for these people to become successful, what it took for them to become quote unquote rich off their passion. So, one of the questions a lot of people had asked me when I told them I was going to start this was I worried about being late? Because, there's a lot of podcasts out there, and the industry and the market is extremely saturated, but what industry isn't? All markets are saturated right now. My advice to myself as well as to others is just find your lane, be yourself, be true to yourself, and go for it, because I feel like there's an audience for everything. So, and not to mention, like I said, people have been asking me for this. So here we are. One of the things that you all can expect, though, a few things really, you guys can expect business tips and lessons to help you push through any obstacles during your journey. I plan to talk about, structuring your business, building a team, marketing, making money, the whole nine. And also you guys can expect guests. I do plan on bringing on guests. I got a couple of guests lined up who said they are more than willing to come on the show. These guests will embody the characteristics required to become rich off your passion. So, it's highly selective. I have a couple of indie artists who are killing the game right now independently. I have attorneys, who have their own practices that are doing their thing. I got business owners, creative artists, and a couple other people that I think whose story would be very inspirational to those who are listening. I do plan on dropping these episodes every week. You guys can expect a brand new episode every Thursday. It will be released out on Spotify, Apple, Stitcher, and there will be a video version of this episode on YouTube. If you guys are listening, you can actually see me record this on YouTube. There's the visual aspect of it. And also definitely be sure to follow the page Rich Off Passion on social media. There's a Facebook, a Twitter, and an Instagram. The handle is Rich Off Passion, spelled just like that, Rich Off Passion. So, I'm really looking forward to recording this. Like I said, it's brand new, long time coming. I had a lot of people saying they were willing to help, but they fell off. So I just said, you know what, it's just, let me just do this myself. So definitely bear with me. This is certainly new, but I am so excited to be putting out this content for you guys. So with that being said, I'll check y'all next week. Peace.